If you have 1 minute for God, please stay and just listen. It's going to be more of a harsher message, more so regarding people around my age. I'm 17 years old, but especially my fellow men and women around my age that are struggling with lust. But I feel that the Lord was calling me to share this message. So first, what I may say that we must recognize our own fleshly desires. And so when we pray following lust, when we say, oh, I didn't want to do these things, I didn't want to do this, Lord, I'm sorry, we must recognize that we most likely did. Because plain and simply, we are humans. It is only normal that human bodies want to reproduce. They want to commit these lustful acts. That is natural. That doesn't make it okay, but it is normal. And so what we have to understand is the only times when we fall into temptation are when the desires and the ways of the flesh within us override the desires and the ways of the Spirit. For us to fall into temptation, our flesh must overcome our spirit in a way that we choose the ways of the enemy over the ways of the Lord. And this self-awareness can be one of the most humiliating things about falling into sin. Because when we pray to the Lord, falling into lust or to any of the other sins, we must admit, Lord, I fell into the ways of the enemy. Lord, I chose the ways of the enemy over you. I chose Satan over you, not because of any of these other excuses. It's easy to blame that perhaps one person did attempt to seduce you or arouse you so that they may engage in something sexual with you. Perhaps there was an account or there was some other thing online that attempted to sway you into viewing any of their other lustful and promiscuous things. And regardless of that, we live in a world surrounded by evil. We live in a world that is very far distant from God, and it is only getting more and more distant each and every day. And so because of that, we must remain aware. We must remain in the world but not stained by it. So when we pray to God, we have to admit that we chose something else over him. We must admit that we did want to do it. Pray to the Lord that we can want him more than what we want for the passions of the flesh. Pray for him to strengthen our spirit. We must be getting into our word and praying day after day, dedicating true time to God. Sometimes we want to make hours for friends or for games or for any of these other things, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. But when we are playing, say, an hour of video games a day, and then the only thing we do for God is say, pray before we eat, and then say, one quick prayer, or open the Bible app and read the verse of the day 5 minutes before bed, that shows that God is not our priority. We must make the Lord our priority in a way that he outweighs these other things. And at first it can seem difficult, it can seem boring, but what you will soon find is that this long-term gratification of the Lord far exceeds the short-term gratifications of lust and of these other things. And so what we must do is acknowledge that, take accountability for our sins, and it is only then through that we can start to grow. You cannot break out of a jail, out of a prison, until you realize that you are in one. If you refuse to accept the accountability for your own sins, plain and simply, you will never grow. And that is harsh to say. It's something that I have struggled with myself. But if we hope to overcome lust, we must overcome ourselves. And to overcome ourselves, we have to recognize that we are in a battle, not with those who tempt us, but with our own flesh who succumbs to that temptation. And so once we learn to prioritize God over these things, to want God more than these things, suddenly, even our flesh, suddenly we don't want to do these things anymore. Whenever I fell into lust, I wanted to do it. But as I've learned to prioritize God, to want this long-term fulfillment more than I wanted short-term sin, I've realized that I truly don't want this sin as much anymore. For especially fellow men and women my age, if we say that we want a wife or a husband in this lovely family, a man or a woman of God to be with us as a partner, and we recognize that the only thing standing between us and that is our lust, and yet we still continue to fall into lust, we have to accept that we want that lust more than we want that future. And that is a truly humiliating thing to understand. But as we know, the power of God is only made more abundant and only made more clear and pronounced in weakness and in humility and in the meek. Thank you for staying so long. If you made it all the way to the end, I would pray that you would feel compelled to share this message, whether it's copying the link or sharing it to a friend who needs to hear this. But thank you.